Hi, I'm Dave with SoftSanders. We're here on location in Bakersfield, California. We're at Eric's Auto Body and Frame, and this is Tim. He's a renowned builder of lowriders. He's done Rags to Riches in the Yellow Rose that's been featured in Lowrider magazine, several other vehicles in all kinds of magazines. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take and we're going to show you some tips and techniques on how to maximize your business and how to speed up time and how to use every nook and cranny on these blocks. Tim, what have these blocks meant to you?
They changed my life as far as doing the work. Now with these blocks, it has probably speed up work about 5 times faster. And they're soft, they're flexible, they can go anywhere. And I do a lot of detail with them. So actually I'm making a lot more money now that I'm working with these blocks. And I've been working with them for about more than 3 years.
Now we're going to show you some tips and techniques on how to grab some of these blocks and get to it and get it done quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and show you some of the techniques to put the sandpaper on the blocks that'll aid you when you go to do the vehicles. And this green one here, we're going to take this one, and traditionally you would put the sandpaper to the block, and it'll work perfectly that way as well. But what we can do, due to the flexibility of this block, it enables us to take and put it on a curvature. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the sandpaper and take the release paper off the back of it, and we're going to make sure that the grit is going grit down against this surface. And I'm going to use this roll of tape to simulate a curvature. I'm going to take the block and go like that and make sure that it doesn't pre-stick here, and then curve it and hold it down, and it'll hold the shape. So that will allow you to go in and actually sand the top of a curvature, and it'll maintain that shape the entire day. I'm going to show you how to put the sandpaper on the bottom of this block, okay? If you're using it just as a French curve, well, obviously you would stick the sandpaper like this. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you how to use this, how to put the sandpaper down in here quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and start here like this. Now most people take and, believe it or not, they put the sandpaper on like this, and they try to go back in and push it after the fact. And the problem with that is it just bongos. It won't stay because it's already pre-stuck. So what you do is you make sure that when you put the paper on, you hold it up against your chest, and then you keep it out of the way of this surface, and you roll it and back it down in, push it all the way and bottom it out, and then go ahead and squeeze down the last half of it. And what happens is it mirrors the block perfectly. If you want to maintain this shape on a spoiler or on the edge of the vehicle, it's absolutely no problem. It'll keep that consistent. But if you want to do an area where it tapers, I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here. And it's important that I show you something that is pretty radical. So here I'm bringing out a spindle, a wooden spindle. It doesn't have much to do with a car, but it really, really shows you the capability of this. In order to do this, I'm going to take the same piece of sandpaper, but I'm going to take the waxy release paper off the back here. I mean, not off of it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and slice it lengthways with a razor blade. And then I'm going to peel half of it off, and then I'm going to take and stick half of it, only half of it on the block. And we're going to let this overhang on purpose. And then I'm going to make sure this is really, really stuck well. I'm going to hold it up against my stomach again, and then I'm going to roll this back in. I'm actually softening up the sandpaper. I'm kind of kneading it a little bit so it'll take and go in and out on its own. And what this technique allows you to do, it's a nice tip here, is it allows you to take and do this. Before, it would fit here, but it wouldn't fit here. And pretend that this is a ground effects or a spoiler on a car. Okay, it won't fit here, and it's not going to fit here. But watch what happens. We can actually force it down, and it fits here perfectly. And then as we sand, it expands, and then it gets small, and it expands, and it gets small, and it expands. What's happening here is the wax paper slides in and out on the block itself, and it acts as a clutch. So what it does is it allows it and it adapts to it. So you could take the whole side of this car and go in and out and in and out of it, and yet it keeps it nice and cylinder shaped throughout. But you don't have to stop and get a different block. That is just really a fantastic option that this block allows you to do. You're really going to use that a lot. Alrighty, now I'm going to take the yellow one, okay, and I'm going to use the exact same piece of sandpaper that I just used on the red one. And we're going to pick up the stick again, the dowel, and we're going to hold it up and do the exact same thing. But this will allow you to just sweep with it. It's exactly the same way. And I'm also going to show you how to put the paper on this one. You're going to take a new piece of sandpaper and you do it exactly the same way. Up, down, over, and around. So it contours and holds. But another thing that this yellow block does that's absolutely, you're going to love it. Let's say that you're sanding a channel down in here, or if you're sanding an area between a bumper and a grill, and it's a little piece of sheet metal that's about that wide, and you wish you had a really narrow block. Well, see this block here? It's bi-level. It's not flat. It'd be wonderful if it was flat. Sometimes you just wish you had a flat one that's that wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the sandpaper on the block, and I'm going to push down. And you see how it's going flat? At the same time you have pressure down on it, pull up the other side of the sandpaper and squeeze it down tight. So now the block stays that way. So what you have is you have that little flat block, that little narrow flat block that you wished you had. And it's all a matter of just compressing the sandpaper. Go down, push down on it, pull up, and you can actually change the radius of these. It's that easy. It's going to be handy for in the door jambs and all of the different channeling in the car. It's going to be really nice. You're going to like it. Now I'm going to use the orange one. I'm going to take the sandpaper and we're going to do kind of what we did with the yellow one. We're going to go like this, but in this case I wish this was round. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to torque it. I'm going to pull it in with my hands, and I'm actually going to change the shape of that. It's going to look like a tongue depressor now. It's going to be around it. So that'll allow you to go in and get the bottom edges, because sometimes you need the distance to go down in here and clear a lot of obstacles. I'm going to demonstrate some tips on this blue one here. Now with this one, what you would do if you wanted to get a real sharp corner, okay, one would think that you go in and you put it like this and you make the bend, okay? We'll put it right here. You go like this and you make the bend. Well, what happens is that's a nice corner, really sweet corner. It's great for doing door jambs. It's just the right radius. You get down in here, the door itself, the trunk jamb, it's perfect radius, and it's narrow. You can get in there nicely. But sometimes you really want it like a knife edge sharp. You want to get underneath the molding or in between something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick here. You put it on like this, and you take and you back the paper down a little bit, and you actually leave a little void. I'm going to leave a void in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to squeeze this. I'm going to squeeze it all the way down the length of the sanding block itself. So now what we've done is we've got almost like a putty knife's edge on there. And this sandpaper is just absolutely beautiful, this cloth back paper. And you can go in there and you sand it, and now you have a sharp edge. And you wouldn't have normally had that sharp of edge on that block. And I'm also going to show you something else about the blocks. There's 4 different radiuses on this block here. Each one of them is different. But the nice thing is, just keep in mind, if you want a different one yet, you can actually just torque it. You can torque all the blocks. They're all torqueable, they're all compressible, they're different densities, yet you can change the shape of them like that. I'm going to show you the blue one, the blue longer one, okay? Let's say that you want to take and get a perfect door. You're right in the middle of the door and you want it as flat and as straight as possible. And you're a little bit skeptical because this block is so soft. It's this way and this way and this way. How can it possibly give me a flat surface? Well, what we're going to show you here is how to put the paper on so it maintains it super flat. You take the paper like this. A lot of people use a paint stick about this wide and they wrap sandpaper around it and they're way down here sanding with it. That works great. But we're going to show you a way to do that that's super comfortable. We're going to take the block here like this, and we're going to go down with it, and over and down. And what that does is it encases it in sandpaper. So now you actually have a channel, a U-shaped channel. And if this was aluminum, it'd be super, super strong. Well, guess what? It's sticky back, and it's sandpaper, and now it's like wood. It's tight. It's really rigid this way, really rigid this way. It makes for a great block. You can sand the middle of this hood. You can sand the panels, no problem at all. It'll be perfectly straight. And when you go to sand it, there's going to be sanding dust all the way through. They just won't be pregnated in the center, and this will be bald, and that'll be bald. That'll be perfect. On these broad curvatures like this, what we have with these blocks is they're super unique, and what they allow you to do is go in and hug the curvature like this, and you can sand with it. But what makes them unique is you can put the sandpaper on them and they'll hold the shape. So what we're going to do to take and show you how to do that is with the traditional sanding block, you put the paper to the block and then try to sand with it. You see it's kind of restricted here because of the actual stickiness. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the sandpaper and put it against the vehicle and put the block down and actually push the block against the sandpaper. And now it holds the shape, and you can sand with that. It's going to be a feature you're going to use again and again and again. You're really going to like it. In order to sand this, back of this drip rail molding here it's a challenge to get back in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take and put the sandpaper on the bottom of the block, halfway on it, and we're going to put it down in here like this and go over. We're not going to bridge it like this and go down and try to push it. Everybody does that, and that's what happens. It just bongos back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to push it down in. It's just like carpeting a staircase. We're going over and down. Now it mirrors the block perfectly. If you notice this from the end, it's going down in. I'm getting the very depth of this, and I'm not hitting the molding at all. It's clearing everything. I'm getting the depth, and I'm also sanding the side. And it just makes tooling that so easy. On these older cars like these, I like these Impalas, it's tough to get these. Really tough.
We're gonna do a little demonstration with the sandpaper here. You place it, and these are so flexible that you place it on the area, and if it's curved, you just set it there like you're seeing here, and then you have the curvature that you need to sand across that area. And now we're gonna unstick the sandpaper. Now we're gonna put it flat and straight. And now we took off most of the filler that we had there. It's almost straight, but to make sure that it's perfect, we put it straight, as you can see. Now we're gonna do it the other way. I started sanding. It's a little more than 5 minutes, and it's already done. It's already done. All you do here, get your 80 grit sandpaper, change it, do a little detail to it, and it's ready for primer. Yeah, and this occasion we're gonna use the blue black that is again SoftSanders, and it's an 8-inch, and this here is kind of like a universal black that you can use anywhere on any area. On this here is a 2003 Honda Accord. In the back bumper we did a plastic repair here. This is for collision repair, and it has like a curve that goes here right in the middle. So we're gonna show you that even for preparation for painting, it's a great block. This is again the blue, and we're using a 320 conventional non-stick sandpaper. It's wet and dry. We're gonna show you how great this is and how fast it can get the work done. You can see how this block is working, and ever since I discovered this, my work has been faster and more productive. I can finish the work a lot faster, and once again this is for collision repair and on newer cars, and it's beautiful.
Well, when you look at this block, at the blue one, it's nice and long, and you're thinking it's soft. There's no way that could be rigid enough to take and go ahead and achieve a nice flat surface. But what we're going to do, although it'll bend this way, it'll bend this way, what we're going to do is we're going to take the sandpaper and we're going to take and put it on the block. Okay, we're going to start it about halfway here, like this. We're going to hold it down, and then we're going to press it, we're going to go down, and then we're going to go back over. And what that does is it reinforces it this way, and this way. Now it is rigid. It won't bend this way, it won't bend this way. It's as firm as what it needs to be. You can take and you start sanding with it. You can tell there's complete surface contact. It's not just humped out here and it's bald here and then just kind of a little bit of primer. It is getting complete contact. That panel will be completely as straight as it would be if this was a piece of aluminum pipe. Here we are sanding the tail end of this Impala, the quarter panel here. These curvatures are here, and then they all come together and turn and to bend in here. This is a blind corner, really difficult to get at, but by taking the little green block, you can take and go in here and just sand it like an ice cream scoop. I'm going in here like this. I'm not taking my fingers and causing some finger tracks. You can tell it's got plenty of primer on it because you can see all the orange peel yet in the primer. But you just keep blocking it out. Kind of tip the block around a little bit. Comb it. It's nice. It's not squared at all. It's really, really comfortably feeling. And you just continue that out, and it makes these corners a snap. I want you to take a look at something. This is the inner wheelhouse out of the front of one of Tim's custom Impalas. And look to what degree that this gentleman goes through to here. He's gone in and he's marbleized this. He's went in and filled this. There's a lot of creases and grooves in here, and he's went in and filled those. He's worked the metal out and smoothed it all out, and he's marbleized it. And now we're going to take and use the green block, and we've got it curved the other way so it can go ahead and get in here and sand this properly. And we're using a sticky back wet and dry sandpaper that allows it to go in and stay on the block. You're not fighting it, you're not holding the paper. The paper is actually stuck to the block, and as you can see, the block is contoured to the inside of the wheel well. And you take and put a little water in there. He's gonna spritz a little water in there. I'm not holding the paper, and it's just like taking a washcloth and washing the inside of one of your dinner bowls. It's that easy. You can go in here like this. It's not creased, it's not grooved. It works absolutely flawless for Tim on this application. We're going to get a rag here, wipe it out. That's some 1500. He's going to block it out a little bit more, and then it's ready for another couple coats of clear. On this hood area here, we've got a high crown, and it's a little tighter than on the top of the doors. So it's important that we go in there and we can get it and capture it. And this is a is the oval one. And what it does is it allows you to go in. It's a rolling French curve. It's not completely round. If it was round, you would just get limited contact. And this way here, you can go in and capture it all at once. I'm going to sand this here like this. Just go in and lift and do a little cross hatching. But you can tell it's just having no problem. The block was made for this hood. Absolutely successful with that one. On the trunket of this Impala, we're going to be sanding this, okay? And you would normally use a DA, and you'd be all sanding the whole thing. But the problem with this is the way these were made, the bracing underneath doesn't touch all over the place. So what you have is it's really, really receptive to canning. And if you sand it with a DA, sometimes just the weight of the DA is going to cause this. And then you'll hit the braces, and each place where the brace was, it's going to appear to be a dent when the car is finally finished. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the sandpaper and we're going to simulate a DA. We're going to go like this. And you're not hearing that noise because we're not getting down. We're not putting enough pressure to force that reinforcement underneath that they can go ahead and pop up and cause some weird things on the outside of the metal there. This top reverse crown on top of these doors and quarters are really, it's a challenge to get in here. So what we've got is we've actually got two choices here. You've got a red one or an orange one. You can tell how that would go in there. Fit it just perfectly. We're going to use the red one in this case. We're going to go at the top here. And you see how it just goes in there. It just goes in like a French curve. You can sand with it. You can come out close to the edge, get it really nice. You can just about almost paint with it. It works so nicely. Kind of a paintbrush action. Really helpful. Alrighty, now for the next one here, this bottom line, we've got a couple options for this one. You can use the red one again, like we did up on top of the door, or you can take and use the orange one. I'm going to pick the orange one because it's got a great handle. You can take and go in here like this. It's really comfortable because the handle's out here. I mean, it acts as a handle, this flat spot does. Curve it, sand it, shoot it. You can twist it. And then when it comes time to do the bottom one, you can drop down. You just go in there and just roll with it. It's like a rolling French curve again. And you can get that just as straight as possible. On this upper tail fin of this 60 Impala, you can tell about how it's hiding my whole arm in there. It's a deep one. This orange one we're going to be using is absolutely sweet. You can get in there and you can curve upward, curve downward. You can catch it all. Sand it this way, cross hatch into it, out of it, come back up. It's just like a shotgun barrel in there. It's really difficult to achieve a nice, uniform sand in there. But hey, with these blocks, it's a snap. Absolutely comfortable to hold too. If you want to flip it around, you can do it this way. Ah, sweet. The tail section on this 60 Impala convertible. Again, you're going to go around the corner. You have complete control. You can curve, turn it, roll it, finesse it. You can just contour it any way you want to. It's not awkward feeling at all. It's just basically you're just like sanding with a paintbrush.